In this episode of The Unbothered Mind, we're going to gently explore a quiet struggle that many once bright children face as grown-ups. Picture a child who was always told how clever they were, praised for every quick answer and high mark. That same child might now be an adult who feels oddly lost and isolated, lacking drive and connection, even though on the surface nothing seems obviously wrong. It's a puzzling and painful place to be. You spend your childhood being lauded as the smart one, and yet, as life moves on, you often feel left behind, as if the world is carrying on without you while you stand on the sidelines. If this resonates, know that you are not strange or alone in feeling this. There is a reason so many gifted youngsters grow into adults who quietly struggle, and understanding it is a key step towards finding your way forward. A big part of the answer lies in how identity forms when we're young. As children, our sense of self starts out quite simple. We grab onto a few traits or labels that make us feel special or accepted. Maybe you love dinosaurs or drawing, or perhaps you are the one known for being really smart. You're so clever, the adults would say, and that label stuck. Being the smart kid became a core part of who you thought you were. It felt wonderful at the time. Intelligence was your superpower. You likely sailed through lessons with ease, picking things up faster than others, and basking in the praise that came with each effortless success. But that early ease carried a hidden cost, because you were so often told how smart you were. When you succeeded easily, you began to believe that being smart meant not having to struggle. Hard work and mistakes were for others, you thought. Your gift was that things came naturally, and without anyone meaning to. The praise that lifted you up also built invisible walls around you. Over the years, that shiny smart kid identity can turn into a fragile little cage that keeps you from growing freely. Here's how that can happen. As long as life feels easy, you feel valued and safe. Your identity as the clever one remains intact. But inevitably, something comes along that isn't easy. Perhaps at university, or in a job, or just in life, you encounter a task or problem that doesn't yield to your usual quick understanding. Suddenly, you're not automatically the best or the fastest at this. In that moment, a deep fear may strike. If I'm really so smart, why am I finding this hard? Instead of seeing this as a normal part of learning, it feels like an existential threat. If your whole self-worth has been built on being smart and capable, struggling at something makes you question your worth at the core. So rather than risk failing and shattering that cherished image of yourself, you start to avoid challenges altogether. You only raise your hand when you're sure you know the answer. You stick to tasks you know you can ace. You might steer clear of hobbies or new skills you'd love to try, because what if you're awkward or mediocre at them? Little by little, the range of life you're willing to engage in begins to shrink. You stay within the bounds of what you're already good at, where you know you'll excel. It feels safe, but it's confining. You're essentially locking yourself inside that one label of being the smart kid and tossing away the key. While you're busy maintaining this perfect image, everyone else is out there living, learning, and yes, floundering a bit as they try new things. They make mistakes, they fail, and try again. And through it all, they grow. But you, behind the high walls of that comfort zone, find that growth harder and harder. The longer you spend avoiding anything that might make you stumble, the more intimidating the idea of stumbling becomes. You may even find yourself at a standstill, stalling in life, because every direction seems to carry the risk of not being instantly good enough. And beyond the personal stagnation, something else quietly happens. You start to drift away from people. Think about it. So much of human connection blossoms from shared experiences, from grappling with challenges together, from being novices together and laughing about it later. If you hold yourself back from those experiences, from joining the study group, or the dance class, or the team project because you're afraid you won't shine, then you also hold yourself back from the bonding that comes with them. Over time, this avoidance can lead to a lonely kind of isolation. You watch others form friendships and find camaraderie while you keep to the sidelines, unwilling to step into anything that doesn't feel like a sure win. It's a heartbreaking irony. In trying so hard to never look foolish, you end up feeling more alone. Yet the yearning for connection doesn't disappear. You still crave friendship, understanding, a sense of belonging. Of course you do. You're human, so you try to meet those needs in the way you know best. Intellectually, you observe others from a distance, studying how people interact. Maybe you learn to fake a semblance of confidence in social settings, saying the right things that you've calculated will make you seem engaging. You might become adept at reading people's emotions on a logical level, what psychologists sometimes call cognitive empathy, where you can work out what someone might be feeling and how you're supposed to respond. But you're not actually feeling alongside them. It's all still happening in your head, behind a sheet of glass. This strategy can help you get by socially for a while. On the surface, perhaps you even come across as charming or at least as perfectly fine. But inside, it's exhausting, isn't it? Interactions that others find naturally relaxing or fun turn into a mental chess game for you. You're performing rather than just being, and so even being around friends can leave you drained. Socializing becomes yet another area where you feel you need to excel, or else avoid it entirely. And as you start to pull away from social opportunities to escape that exhaustion, or the fear of not getting it right, the loneliness deepens. At this point, you might tell yourself that maybe you just don't fit in with most people. It's tempting to believe that your isolation is somehow a choice or a mark of being special rather than admitting that you feel hurt and left out. This is a very human defense mechanism. When the pain of loneliness becomes too sharp, the ego shields itself by pretending that solitude is a sign of superiority. In psychology, some might call this pattern a form of defensive arrogance. It's as if you build a story that you're an outsider by design, too unique or too intelligent to find comfort in ordinary company. It may numb the pain a little to think this way, but it comes at a high price. It keeps that wall firmly between you and everyone else. True connection with people requires dropping our guard, being humble enough to say, "Hey, I'm struggling," or "I don't have all the answers." It demands presence and vulnerability. If you're busy holding yourself above the crowd in order to protect your pride, you can't reach out for a friend's hand. The wall might keep you feeling safe from judgment, but it also seals you off from the warmth of others. So how do you break out of this prison that a lifetime of being the smart one built around you? The first and most crucial step is to gently release your grip on that identity. Give yourself permission to not be the clever child anymore. That doesn't mean you become less intelligent or stop valuing your mind. It means you stop basing your entire worth on intellect and achievement. Because clinging to the idea that you are only as good as your next success is toxic to your happiness. If your value as a person feels tied to always being exceptional, then you'll do anything to avoid situations where you're not instantly great, and that guarantees you stay stuck. Eventually, life will present something that cracks that illusion anyway, so better to step out of the illusion on your own terms. In practice, this might mean building a new kind of identity, one that values growth over perfection. Instead of worrying whether something will make you look clever or foolish, You begin to focus on whether it will help you learn and move forward. You shift your focus from protecting your image to expanding yourself. It's okay if that sounds scary, it is scary. Allowing yourself to try things you might fail at, to be new at something, to ask for help when you don't understand, can feel like the exact opposite of everything you were once praised for. But I promise, it's the doorway to a much richer life. When you embrace being a learner rather than needing to always be a master, something beautiful happens. You start giving yourself the grace to be human. Being human means sometimes you're unsure. Sometimes you take a wrong turn, and sometimes you feel lost. And that's not only okay, it's normal, it's healthy. Every expert was once a beginner. Every confident adult you see has their moments of doubt. You're allowed those moments too. By letting go of the demand that you must always be brilliant, you make room for real growth. And you make it possible to truly connect with others. You can join that dance class and laugh at your own two left feet. You can start that novel you've always wanted to write, even if the first draft is terrible. You can have heartfelt, unguarded conversations where you admit you're struggling and find that people don't turn away. In fact, they often draw closer, bit by bit. As you take these uncharted, imperfect steps, you'll notice something shift inside you. That painful sense of being on the outside looking in might begin to fade. By stepping down from the pedestal you never really asked to be on, you start walking on the same ground as everyone else. And that is where true belonging is finally possible. If you've seen yourself in this journey, if any of these words hit home for you, remember that you are not alone. Not even a little. There are many of us out here who know exactly how it feels to live inside that lonely smart kid bubble. It can take time to change, and that's all right. Sometimes just putting a name to what you're feeling is the first real step toward healing. I hope this exploration has offered you some insight and perhaps a bit of hope that things can be different. Thank you for spending this time with me on The Unbothered Mind. Until next time, take gentle care of your mind and heart.